Okay, so we're going to go and render our stuff, or get the render stuff going. So I'm going to go to File, Set Project. I'm going to find my 2510 folder, find my work folder, find my Moon 2, hit Set, go to Open, and find my latest file, which in this case is Rocket Ship 2. Alright, I was wrong. It was Alien 4 was my last one. Okay. Alright, so this is where we left off. We have our spaceship flying across here. We have our other stuff in the background. So now what we want to do is create this sky in the background. Okay, that's our next step. So I'm going to go to Render Settings, Indirect Lighting, and I'm going to drop in what's called Image-Based Lighting. Okay, when I hit Create, it's going to create. Let me close that so we can see it. It's going to create this big sphere around my stuff. And the sphere is not something that we need to worry about, except for the fact that it's going to be our texture. Okay, we don't need to scale it or manipulate it any further than basically some rotations maybe, or some translations. So we could drop in an image right here. We can click the folder and drop in an image. So if I click that and I find, there we go. So I have this picture of a sky. You can see that now I have this sky in the background that I could use, but it's obviously too big. If you look at the size of these stars, these are like huge. This is like a sun, basically. So I'm going to hit undo. I want to go to type and change this instead of image file to texture. Okay. Now if I lose this window, I can just go back to my render settings, back to indirect lighting, and instead of going to the create button, which is no longer there, I will click the arrow and get back to that. I could also marquee this thing, and it'll get me back to that. Okay, so I'm going to go to texture, which means I'm going to connect a texture right here. I'm going to click the map button, and I'm going to map a ramp to this. Okay, and by mapping a ramp, it puts this on here, where we have a ramp that goes from blue to green to red. Okay. Now, if I take the green off, okay, you can see that the red's on the bottom, the blue's on the top. I'm going to take the blue and click the map button here. And to this blue, I'm going to connect a file. And that file is going to be one of my star pictures. And I think that one that I have up there is the one I want to use. Okay, and this is, again, just one that I found online. To the same picture. This one is a higher res picture. You can see it's 2 meg. That was 299. So that one might be a good one. Okay, so I'm going to use that one. And you can see that the image goes all over the place. Again, we have lots of like huge stuff in here, and I don't want the huge stuff. So I'm going to go to the place 2D texture, and I'm going to repeat this, say 10 and 10 times. Okay. Now I also have the red that from the ramp is still affecting this, so I'm going to hit the back button, and I'm going to change the red to something a little bit more spacey. So I'm going to go to like black, but I'm going to take it into the blue range and just add like a hint of blue. That's all I'm adding, is like a hint of some blue in there. Might be too big of a hint, but we'll see. Okay. And I had a nice camera set up, and I just messed up my nice camera. Did I? No. Okay, there we go. All right. So now let me go and render this and see where we're at. Okay. So now this is done rendering. The moon looks cool. The stuff in here looks cool. I can probably knock the blue out of here a little bit more. Like I said, it's probably too big of a hint. So I'm going to click on this, click on the map, and then just take this manually down to maybe 0.02. Okay. Also, if you look here, you can see that this star pattern is exactly the same. Okay, and this is where we want to maybe adjust that big sphere on the outside, is just grabbing it and just doing some rotation on it. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the rotate Y and middle drag just to grab a different sample of that image. Okay, so we'll save this image by clicking the green keep image button. We'll click the map render button again. Okay, so now we're back into our render, and it looks like we are going to get this pattern over and over and over again because we've looped that texture so many times. But the darkness looks nice. Okay, so there's only so much we can do. All right, we can go into Photoshop and make a bigger texture and airbrush those things out. I'm not going to worry about it too much for this assignment. Okay, one thing I can do to maybe help this along is I'm going to grab that, go to the arrow, click on, this one here is my file, this is my black. I'm going to click on this top one and go to the arrow, go to the place 2D texture, and I'm going to turn mirroring on. And sometimes mirroring will help get rid of some of those things. Sometimes it'll actually enhance it. So again, we'll render it again and see where we're at. Okay, in this case I can see right away that mirroring is enhancing that effect. You can see right in this area where it looks like we're basically getting a mirror copy of the stars. So I'm just going to go back and turn mirroring off. So go to that file, turn mirroring off. I can also try stagger and see if that'll correct anything, but I think we're good. I can also try rotating and see if rotating will fix it. There's lots of things you can do to play with it. Your file may not even be doing this. This might just be my file because of the specific one that I picked. And what's typically happening is, it's in order to get the stars the right scale, we have to shrink them down. And by shrinking them down, we're basically like tiling them over and over and over again. Yeah, it's going to do the same thing. Alright, so I'm just going to set that back to 0 and it will just live with it. Okay. Professional project, we would definitely want to get rid of that, but for this, I'm not going to make it a big deal. Alright, so now we have our stuff in here. Spaceship goes by, we have other stuff going on, so maybe no one's really going to notice. Just want to make sure that everything looks good from the start and the end. I want to make sure that both my spaceships are kind of visible in here. Like that one that's in the background, I think I want that one to be a little bit more prominent. So I'm going to just switch to my 2-panel layout. So layouts 2 side by side. Perspective is here, perspective 1 is there. If it wasn't, I can just choose which cameras I want in this one and which cameras I want in that one. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this one forward a little bit more. I'm going to shrink its path down. I think I'll even kind of maybe peek it over. Make sure they don't crash. I think I want to have him come in like right about there. Okay. Now I can reverse him if I just grab his path and I go to edit curves and say reverse. Then he flips around to the other direction and now he's facing that way. Okay, so I can even have him come like right in that smoke trail. Just have to make sure he doesn't hit the alien or the flag. There we go. Let's see this. We see the guy coming, and then we see there goes the big one, and then he comes in right at the end. All right, so that looks cool. Oh, except he's going through our planet. So let's rotate that back a little bit. Make sure he doesn't go in it. Nope, he's good. Okay. Now we'll switch back to this. Rewind it, play it again. Here he comes over here. It's kind of exciting to see him, and then, whoa, this big one comes through. And then he kind of comes through the debris, and bam, there he is. Now, just for effect. This is bonus. If you want to do this to make it look extra cool, it'll take 2 seconds. You might as well. So I'm grabbing the particles, and I'm going to go to fields, and I'm going to go to let's say vortex. No, let's say Newton. I'm going to go to Newton, and what this does, it creates a little guy here. Okay, I'm going to change this in here from a volume shape none to a volume shape sphere. And I'm going to scale it up. And I'm just going to put it in front of our spaceship here. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit Shift, click the spaceship, and hit P to parent the Newton to the spaceship. I'm also going to go into the attributes here and set the attenuation to 0 and set the magnitude to a -10. So now we'll just, in this view, I'll just hit play, and then we can see what's going to happen. Here he comes. Alright, maybe a little bit more. Let's go to -30. Hit play again. There you go. You can see that as he flies through it, the smoke is getting kind of pushed away. And I'll even make that, if I make this thing a little bit wider, that will get a bigger effect. Okay, and I could even take the magnitude down further to -50 and get an even bigger effect. Okay, so this field, this Newton, is only affecting these particles because I had them selected. So then as this comes through, it's only going to affect it once it gets into that little sphere, because we made it a volume. So there you go. Alright, so now let's look at it from perspective. And this doesn't render, this is just for us to see it. See that thing come through, and then here comes our other spaceship busting through the smoke. There he comes. Cool. Alright. So now we're going to go to our last frame, and we're going to render it. We're going to go to our first frame and render it, which we already did, and that looked good. So we'll go to last frame and render it, make sure that looks good. We'll go to a middle frame and render it, make sure that looks good. And then we should be good to actually render this thing up. Alright, so there's my render. It took a minute, probably because we're a little bit closer. It looks pretty good. I do see that my alien's feet are sticking in the ground. So I want to, you see here they're not, but because of that displacement map, it is. So I'm going to click on the alien, I'm going to hit the up arrow. Make sure I center pivot him. And then just pull him up slightly. Okay, not moving it much. There we go. 0.128 is what I moved him up. So now I can just marquee a section in here and render just that section out. And you see our smoke, it's not looking, perfectly like smoke. This is actually, we'd probably scoot that in a little bit further on that as well, just to kind of tidy that up a little bit more because we're seeing it. But we're not going to play with the smoke anymore. I mean, that's something we'd really want to tweak and tweak. All right, a little bit more on the guy, maybe 0.256. I think I'll just do 0.25, but I just doubled it. Alright, so now we have our alien standing on top of our stuff. That's what we want. Good. Alright, so then the other thing I said is let's go to our other perspective view. Tap out and tap into this one. And I just need to move. You can see this is like actually like far away. I don't know why it's so far away. It's weird. Let me rewind this and play and see if it was always like that. Looks like it's good. Alright, that just might have been a glitch. It just wasn't showing that. Okay, and that'll happen sometimes if you like click inside here. You can see that my particles aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, because it just can't calculate it, so it just freaks out. So I'm just going to hit undo, or not undo, rewind, and then hit play, and then it'll calculate correctly. Alright, so that's good. So everything's cool. So I'm going to go to my render settings, and I'm going to go to the common tab, if name.number.extension 1 through 120. Perspective view, that was the one we were rendering through. That's the one that has our animated camera. Everything's good there. I'm going to go to the quality here and change the quality to 1. The quality we even had in this rendering was pretty good, but that 1 will just kind of clean up some of that stuff. And then that's it. Okay, so now we can save as Alien 05 ready to render. And then we just go to render, batch render option box, set this to 12. Batch render option box, set that to 12 with this auto render threads off, hit batch render. And then it's going to ask me if I want to cancel something because I'm already rendering something else. So I would hit yes if I wanted to, but you know, I'm hitting no in this case. So then it's going to render, and then down here we'll see percentage of rendering done. And then as this is going, you want to go into your folder, wherever your folder is, and look at that image. Okay. Also, we want to go to the task manager and find Maya batch in here. Here it is, and see that it's at 95%. I'm on the processes, Maya batch. It says 96%. It's pretty much using every single processor that I have inside here to render this thing out. That's what you want. If it doesn't go above 25 or above 30, you should go into Maya, render batch render option box again, change this to a higher number like 16, batch render and close. It'll ask you if you want to cancel, just hit yes, and then do that again until this number gets up to 95, okay, or so. And then what we want to do is from the task manager is once it goes there, right click, set priority below normal. That way anyone else who's using the computer won't be affected by your rendering and won't shut it down. Okay, so that's it for the rendering part. The next part of this is going to be going through and compositing it and putting it together in After Effects. So when that's done, we'll come back.